All right, so good evening and thank you for joining me. You're watching Off the Court with me, Wenton Mavoro, and tonight is another interesting Thursday where we get to talk some basketball and do a little bit of some catch up with regards to what is going on in the league and across the league. And I have an interesting panel that we will be discussing with concerning our beautiful game of basketball. And today's episode is quite crucial in the sense that this weekend we have the annual general meeting that will be taking place, and different federations or different individuals representing federations will be participating in that particular AGM, and various issues will be ironed out, things that we've been discussing throughout the year, pointing to certain changes that people would like to see. All those things will be talked about at the AGM. And this evening, I'll be joined by quite an interesting panel of people representing designated regions which are active when it comes to the game of basketball in the country. We are talking about Livingston, Eastern Province, Northern Province, Luapula Province, and of course, Mansa and the Copperbelt are all expected to be with us this evening just to give us their perspective within or with regards the game of basketball. The name is Wenson Mavoro, and I'm your host. And the first guest that I'd like to introduce this evening is a gentleman who coaches a basketball team, and he is the only brave man who decided to join me from Livingston after struggling, to be able just to find somebody to be with us this evening. And this is no other than Coach Mwe. Sorry, Coach. I struggle to pronounce, these Tongan names of yours. But I know the last name is Muyava, so I'll give you the honor to be able to introduce yourself. So you can go ahead and just introduce yourself. I know that you're part of Livingston Spartans Basketball Club, but you can just say hi to the people that are joining us live.
All right, good evening, everyone. Coach Muyava here, Livingstone Spartans Basketball Club head coach.
All right, thank you very much, Coach Muya, for joining us. And another interesting individual joining us this evening is Mr. Jared Peary, representing the Eastern Basketball Association. He will be introducing himself, telling us the position, and of course, just say hi to our viewers. The floor is over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wilson. Hi, everyone. My name is Piri Gerard from Eastern Basketball Association Secretary.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Peary, for joining us this evening, and allow me to also welcome with us Mr. Kalumba Rejoice, joining us all the way from Mansa. Mr. Kalumba, are you able to hear me? Okay, so we seem to have a little bit of technical challenges over there with Mr. Kalumba. But as earlier indicated, Mr. Mulonga Mumba from the crowd will be joining us. And of course, other individuals will be with us this evening as well, just to be able to converse and discuss basketball with us. So, to kickstart the conversation, allow me to start with the gentleman who was the early bird, who was with me before the scheduled start time of the show, and this is Coach Muyawa. So, Coach, just to start with you, I know that you coached the Livingston Spartans Basketball Club all the way from Southern Province, and we know that a lot is happening within the Livingston fraternity when it comes to basketball. So just bring us up to speed. How has the season been for you with the Spartans so far?
Well, the season, being a new team in the league, the season has been challenging. We are learning a lot of things as we are progressing as a team. And not so many flaws, just learning points for us. Whatever doesn't work for us is a learning point for the teams as for now, because most of the players that are involved are youngsters, most of them schoolboy pupils. So it's really a very good learning point for them where they get to play with more seasoned players. So it's an eye opener for them, and as they decide to progress in the game of basketball, they'll be learning one or two things at an early age.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So Mr. Molo is with us. Mr. Molo. Mr. Molo has joined us. Good evening, sir. Welcome back to your show. Are you able to hear me, Mr. Molo?
Evening.
All right, great. Mr. Rejoice, joining us all the way from Manta. Are you able to hear me, Mr. Rejoice?
Yes, loud and clear.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. So now that the panel is here, we will get right into it. This weekend, or this week is a very special week, gentlemen, as we wait for the only lady to be able to join us this evening. And I say that this week is special because the annual general meeting will be presented and various topics and policy issues will be discussed at the annual general meeting that obviously will shape and give us an idea of how the 2024 season will pan out with regards basketball management and just administration and even from the player side of things as well. So I just want to start with you, Mr. Mulo, all the way from the Copper Belt. At least your CBA finally proved that they have slightly what it takes to beat the Lusaka team in that
Don't
All-Star
go
game.
there.
Okay. So we just want to find out from you, first of all, what are your expectations with regards the annual general meeting? Are you prepared as the Copperbelt Basketball Association for this important meeting that will be taking place?
I think it's a 50-50 thing. We are in a way prepared, just that we haven't had enough interaction with most of our members on some of the things that we would love to propose. I think the meeting, as you know, was moved forward so that it could give all the associations enough time to now start their leagues early enough, which, because of that action, also reduced the amount of time we could have to interact with our affiliates. But nevertheless, we are ready for this. We have got a few things that we need to propose, a few clarifications, and we hope that we'll come out of that meeting with all the positive indicators to have a great basketball season.
Okay, interesting. I will come to Mr. Jared Peary, all the way from Eastern Province. Mr. Peary, are you prepared? Are you aware that there's an annual general meeting that will be taking place in Lusaka? Anyway, I'm not sure whether it's Lusaka, but I suppose or suspect it will be Lusaka, lest I be mistaken, subject to correction. But are you aware, most importantly, that there is a general meeting that will be taking place, and are you prepared for this meeting?
Yes, we are aware of the general meeting. The memo was sent to us. That was last week. The memo was sent to us last week, so we are aware of the meeting, and we even had organized a meeting with members of the Eastern Basketball Association, the teams, so that we interact with them and also get their views on what things they would like the ZBF to do, like to present to the ZBF so they do for us in our province. So we are aware and we are ready for the meeting.
So who will be representing you?
It's supposed to be me and the chairman.
Now you're saying supposed to. What does that mean? Are you not traveling, or are you actually coming?
Definitely, I will. I will travel. Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. So let me now come to Mr. Mr. Kalumba Rejoice, who's with us this evening. Mr. Kalumba Rejoice, we just want to quickly find out from you. I know that your network is a little bit unstable, but thankfully you keep coming back. Are you aware, as we start the conversation, that there will be a general meeting, the annual general meeting taking place? And will you be traveling for that meeting?
Good evening, everyone. I'm very much aware that there's a meeting, the AGM which is taking place on the 3rd of February. I'm likely to travel with my GS probably tomorrow, and we are very much ready to attend the meeting. We received the memo last week, and we indicated that we participate in the meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Interesting. So those of you that are watching and following the live proceedings, be at liberty to be able to just comment and let us know what you think in the comment section. And you can interact with my guests this evening. So already I've got a question here, but before we get to that question, allow me to just get to Coach Muyaba. Coach Muyaba, you being a coach who plays in a league such as Southern Province, that has its own unique challenges. Tell us, what are you aware, first of all, that there's an annual general meeting in Lusaka?
I got aware of the meeting. I got aware of the meeting today in the morning.
So did you speak to any of your leaders?
No, I didn't speak to any of my leaders. For Southern Province, it has been a bit hectic because right now we're running as Livingstone Basketball, not Southern Province Basketball. It's an initiative that a group of people came up with, of which I'm part of that group. When we saw that there was literally nothing taking place in Southern Province, so we said we cannot just go to there just like that. We need to bring back the sport that we love back to life in Southern Province. We try to engage other teams in other districts. So if you come down Southern Province, Monze, Mazabuka, we have Mazabuka Comets that are playing from Lusaka. Coming down Monze, Choma, Kalomo, Livingstone, we have very good teams in all these towns, but it's like the only place where basketball is being actively played right now is Livingstone, including the Kalomo team that is also part of the Livingstone League. So the issue of disseminating information when it comes to us, we rarely have it because it's like we are running an isolated league for ourselves in Livingstone because the SBA, the structure for SBA is not known. We don't know who's in charge, where they are. So that's the major challenge that was there. But despite all that, we managed to come up with a league, and we thank God that we have people that are really there to push the whole agenda of basketball and make it grow in Southern Province. Doing it from their own pockets, yeah, it's really good. So I think from your question, I can just say that we were not aware of the meeting, but we have people that are willing to be part of that meeting.
Okay. Interesting submission over there from Coach Muyala of the Spartans Basketball Club, all the way from Southern Province. Now, already we've got a question. We've got a question in our comment section from Tondo Ephraim, and this question is coming to you, Coach Mulo. And Ephraim is saying, are you able to state a few positive indicators that you want from the meeting?
Are we able to?
Just state possibly a few indicators that you would want to see from the meeting.
One, I would love to if we can have an outcome
if we can
where
have an
we
outcome
we
where
have
we have
sponsorship for basketball,
sponsorship
I'd
for
love to
basketball.
find out if the
I'd love to
federation has
find out
made any
if the federation
headways
has made
when it
any
comes to that.
headways when it
That is
comes to that.
one.
That
Then
is one.
two, like the problem we are having in Southern, I hope we can come together and put that house in order so that we're all one. We're all there for each other. That would be nice. It's sad the way he's come out and he's explained on how the basketball is being run down there. We've got players there. We've got some players that are in the NBA that are actually coming from that region. Okay, so those are the things that we need to look at. So I hope we can help them, and I hope also the federation can come with a good plan in terms of financing ZBF, which will finance the ZBF programs for the national teams, youth development, and other programs for coaches and things like that.
Hmm. Okay. So we've got a question over here. This one I think goes for to either of the coaches to assess the performance of the current leadership and issues you wish to forward to the AGM for them to improve on. Okay, so Mr. Rejoice, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Oh, okay, that is wonderful. So for those that
Okay,
may be
that is wonderful.
wondering
So for those that may be wondering
why we don't have a picture for Mr.
why we
Rejoice
don't
is
have a
because
picture for Mr. Rejoice is because
we have a little bit of
we have a little bit of
network issues over there.
network
So
issues
he
over
will
there.
be
So
joining us via
he will
audio
be
and taking
joining
part
us
in the
via audio
conversation.
and taking
But
part
when
in
the
the
network picks
conversation.
up, obviously
But when
his
the network
picture,
picks up,
he will be
obviously in
joining via
picture,
picture.
he
But
will
what's
be
important
joining
is
via picture. But
we
what's
need to
important is
have him
we
with
need
us
to
on the
have
show this
him
evening.
with us on the show this
And
evening.
I can see John
And
Waitolo in the
I can
comment
see
section
John
talking about,
Waitolo in the comment
oh
section
sorry,
talking about,
Mwalula John
oh
Daka.
sorry,
Oh my word.
Mwalula John Daka.
Okay,
Oh my word.
talking about issue of the
Okay.
echo. So I am
Talking about
trying to
issue of
fix
the
the
echo.
issue of
So
the
I
echo,
am
John.
trying to fix the issue
And
of
to
the
everybody
echo,
else that
John.
is following the show,
And to
sincere
everybody else that
apologies.
is following the
We are desperately and doing everything possible to be able to fix the issue of the echo at the moment. So there is a question right now of assessing the leadership, and with this one, Jared is not here. Okay, so obviously, I know you hinted earlier on, Coach Muyaba, on some of the leadership issues that you are having over there in Southern Province. And Coach Mulo has sympathized with you and indicated that it will be to the benefit
that it
of
will be
basketball
to the
growth
benefit of basketball
the
growth.
moment
The
we
moment
just resolve this issue.
we
So
just resolve
I would
this
like to
issue.
find
So
out from you,
I would like to find out from you,
Coach Muyaba,
Coach Muyaba,
what kind of
what kind of
where has the challenge been
where
with
the
regards
challenge
leadership
been with
in
regards
Southern
leadership
Province? Because
in
if you
Southern
look at
Province?
Copperbelt,
Because
we've got
if you
an
look at
established leadership.
Copperbelt, we've got an
If you look
established
at
leadership. If
Lusaka,
you
there's an
look at
established leadership. I
Lusaka,
believe
there's an
in
established
Mansa, there's an
leadership.
established
I believe
leadership.
in
I believe
Mansa,
in
there's
all
an
these
established
areas,
leadership. I believe in all these areas,
there's a leadership that people can look
there's
to,
a leadership
hold
that
to
people
account.
can look to,
Where has the
hold to
challenge been
account.
in Livingston?
Where has the challenge been in Livingston?
I think for Livingstone, it has just been the major challenge. I think came in when there was a communication barrier between probably Livingstone-based coaches and teams and Southern Province leadership. When the meeting was called, I think that was 2022. There was a meeting that was called. It was called on short notice, where people cannot even manage to travel, and no information was sent to us on this end, and we couldn't manage to make it for that meeting. So things were discussed that we're not even aware of. There's not even a WhatsApp group for Southern Basketball Association, and the major issue for us is just poor communication in our region. And as I'm talking to you right now, I don't even know who's the chairperson for Southern Basketball Association, whether they're in Southern Province or not, because they have been missing in action. We just want the structure to be seen. We want the people that are in these positions to be available at and present and being actively involved at all stages of basketball in Southern Province. It's not really a matter of being political or trying to shame one body or association. No, it's just we're just trying to build the game of basketball. So we really want that to, work out on our side. We have a lot of young talent, as the other coach alluded. We have players that come from southern region. We have players that come from Livingston. They are playing in Midlands basketballs, and they are doing really well there. So definitely to go a long way if talent was nurtured down here in southern province. And looking at the fact that we don't have a league running for the whole province, that's a big sign that things are really stale in southern province, and there's really much that need to be done for us to move forward. So from the meeting, definitely what I expect is active involvement of the ZBF. To be actively involved, we don't need tournaments. We need a structure first. Once we build that structure, we know who to point at when we need something, and I think that would be easier for us to communicate in a situation where we are in right now as Livingston Basketball Association, as we call ourselves. We find ourselves in a situation where when we try to reach out to ZBF, we are not recognized because we're not affiliated to ZBF, as we have been given that answer before. So even when a complaint is launched, they say we're not affiliated, so they cannot come in. But in a situation where there's like a month ago, there was trials for the national team for under 18. We were called up to actually conduct those trials, and we actually did that without any complaints, just to show that we really are for the agenda for making basketball develop in our region. So from the meeting, we just expect the way forward for us here. I think that's a major expectation for us.
Okay, interesting over there. So we've got Coach Jared, or Mr. Jared rather, who's with us. Mr. Jared, will come straight to you. And what I'd like to find out from you is, first of all, um, what are the major issues that are emanating from Eastern Province with regards their expectations, especially for the AGM? What is it that the people from the East expect to see from this AGM?
Okay, thank you very much. The people from Eastern Province, what they really expect to see or to hear or to get from the AGM is the involvement of ZBF in our region. The ZBF hasn't really been active, like really helping in our region. Because if I tell you, the 4 years that we've been playing the league, we've never had any refing clinic or any coaching clinic for our coaches here and our referees here. So it's difficult for us, and most of the time as we play the league, it's difficult for us to find refs or to find or the coaches to interact with the refs the way they're supposed to interact with them, especially on the part of the refs. We are very behind with that, and the people that we use are not experienced. So we usually have problems as we play our league and as we play our games, because we can only get experienced refs when we have tournaments. That's when we get experienced refs. Like when we have teams from Malawi and we have teams from Lusaka, we at least can have one or two refs that will come and help in. But during the league, it's really a challenge for us. So the people from Eastern Province are really expecting the ZBF to be involved in our programs and to be involved in our league, because the only moment, honestly, the only moment that the ZBF gets involved in our association is when you're having national championships, because that's when we see them bringing when the teams are from the soccer visit here. That's when we can see the reps from the NBA, and those the reps from the NBA or the other provinces which will come to help us with officiating. So mostly the people here are looking forward for the ZBF to be in touch and to be really engaged in our activities in our province here.
I have hosted the Secretary General for the Zambia Basketball Federation, and I've also had the privilege of hosting the treasurer on this particular platform. And one of the things that they were confidently telling the entire basketball national community and Africa inclusive is that most of the programs that ZBF has been conducting, capacity developmental, have been decentralized, meaning you no longer see clinics in Lusaka, you no longer see all these things happening in Lusaka, but they're happening in all these provinces. So are you telling us that none of this has come to Eastern Province in the just ended season?
The only ZBF program that we had here is the FIBA Foundation Basketball for Good. That's the only program that we had for ZBF, like in the last season that we had, this last season that just ended. Except for that, it's the national championship. We've never had any clinics. We've never had any. We were never involved in any. Even the 3-on-3 tournament. We've never had a 3-on-3 tournament from the ZBF. We've seen the Saka hosting 3-on-3. We've seen the Copper Belt and the Livingstone also. I think in 2020 they went to Livingstone with the Savenda 3-on-3 tournament. But we were told to come to Eastern Province and we never saw that. So I think apart from the national championships and the FIBA Foundation Basketball for Good for the youth, those are the only programs that we've had for ZBF here in Eastern Province.
Okay. Okay, so let me come to you, Coach Mulo. Uh, how has been the involvement of the federation with regards to the Commonwealth? I know that there's quite some good organization in the Commonwealth, and there's that rapport, there's that open communication, something that our comrades in South Province do not have with the federation. But generally, have you received support from the federation?
Support has been there, and support has not been there. I say that because we've had programs that have been there, that have come through ZPF. Some programs are coming through the youth and women's departments. Some programs which we initiated because of communication. We've had referee clinics. Through our own, we've had our own coaches clinics going on. Then the number of programs that ZBF has put out this year has been very minimal, I think. Apart from, I don't know if you can call the under 18 was mentioned, the national team was mentioned. If you call those programs, then maybe. But in terms of, like I was mentioning, in terms of capacity building, I think from what I have seen, from the communication I have seen, this year is when we're scheduled to have level 1, and at the end of the year, we're scheduled to have level 2 for coaches. For the referee clinics, that is something that each association reaches out to the referees association, and then they themselves organize when they can have. All that ZBF, I think, can do is endorse the action. So if we ourselves do not put ourselves there and wait for ZBF sits in Lusaka. We sit in our regions. We know our problems more. So we are the ones who should be stepping forward to really push these guys and pull these guys so that we can get action. Yes, we'll look at the plan for ZBF, how they're supposed to spread basketball across the nation and whatnot. Yes, it's there, but we need to do a lot as well. We need to keep pushing them. They can have suggestions, they can do that, but if we are not communicating, then we're not going to get anywhere. So we have received support for some programs. If people are trying to think of saying ZBF has got money, so they're supposed to also help us financially, that won't happen, because we all know that ZBF is limping. So it's that's how I feel about it.
Okay. You said something very, very important, Mulo, which I totally agree with you when you talk about the issue of not waiting, for ZBF to do everything, but you, the person that knows firsthand the problems, taking the initiative to solve them. Ricky in our comment section, sorry, you know, Ezekiel Kausu, by the way, he's related to Ricky, the gentleman that I'm mistaking him for. But Ezekiel is telling us right now, he's one of the referees that had the privilege of calling the national championship, you know, as the game was actually happening. So he's talking about, he's asking, if I'm getting his question correctly, to say a person like him that probably has a bit of knowledge with regards rafing, has the experience calling the national championship big games, by the way. If he wanted to help, for example, Southern Province and hold a clinic, is there a specific procedure that he needs to follow, going by your point of ZBF having to endorse? What advice can you give a gentleman like him that is in Southern Province right now with this knowledge?
Let the association write to the referees. Let that letter be copied to ZBF. Let the referees respond in a positive manner that they will post that. ZBF will endorse it even with their eyes closed. The moment they just hear, oh, a referee clinic is being requested, they'll endorse it and they'll give their blessing for that to go on. It's as simple as that. We've had that. We are fortunate enough to have one of the best referees in the country, FIBA accredited with what's Sandevesa here. So for us it becomes easier because he's right here. And when we've always have these, someone was talking about they only get to see the rules when they come to the national champions and things like that. We all do research as coaches. We are reading. We are learning every day. Our ears are to the ground of basketball in case a rule changes. It's the same thing with the referees. So you will hear that a rule has changed. Oh, there's now a 0 step. As a coach, you need to know there's a 0 step. You're not going to hear it from a referee. The referee will know, you know. So each time these things come out, we need to know and we need to be proactive. It's just a simple email, maybe even an SMS. I know our GS would probably say, or our national technical advisor would say, okay, please put it on headed paper and write to us. But just those small little things will go a long way.
Okay, interesting there. Let me now come to Jared from Eastern Province. Mr. Jared, obviously there's quite a lot you've spoken about, the presence of, the importance of ZBF interacting with the Eastern Basketball Association, and you said you only get to see them during the national championships. Going by the point that, or maybe before I challenge you on what, to build up on what Amulo has said, first of all, maybe let us in just to understand, as Eastern Basketball Association, what are some of the challenges that you're currently facing?
Yeah, there are a lot of challenges actually. There are a lot of challenges, but in terms of basketball, like for it to be running smoothly or for it to be running in the right way, I think the referee's part is the most important thing in the basketball game, because you cannot be playing basketball we're all being led by unqualified refs. So if you have people that know some of the rules, know these and these rules, there will be a lot of quarrels and there will be a lot of tokens during the games. So our biggest challenge here is having at least trained referees and trained coaches in our region, because that's how the game of basketball can grow in our region. At least if we have trained coaches and trained referees, our basketball will be growing, because definitely our coaches will know what to do on the bench, and the referees will know what to be doing on the floors. The players also might need some knowledge also from the referees, like knowing the rules that are changing. So like mostly our challenge here is running the game, especially on the referees part. That's the most thing that we'd like to get here in Eastern Province. If we have those two technical things, and then I'm sure basketball will be going here.
Okay, interesting. Now, there's a comment there from David Masonda who says, how do PBAs interact on a large scale? Do they have meetings as PBAs at the end of each year, or there's just total independence? So before I go to Coach Muyava, as EBA, do you interact with any other PBA? It could be CBA, which is doing very well. It could be Midlands, which has its own challenges. It could be the Mansa Basketball Association. Are you interacting? Do you have meetings to sit down, with each other and see how you could learn from one another and build one another?
Honestly, no, we've never done that. We've never
Why?
interacted with.
Hmm.
I think that's the thing that we're supposed to look into. I wouldn't say why, because we've never thought of that. I think that's the reason we've never thought of that. Honestly,
Okay, so maybe that is something that going forward you need to look into. I mean, if you have a gentleman here like Molo who's with us and has a FIBA accredited referee in his pockets, probably that man can be able to help and address some of the issues that you're going through, especially in the department of refereeing. But anyway, let me now come to Coach Muyala over here. Now, one of the challenges, Coach Muyala, that obviously we've seen with clubs has been the issue of sponsorship, lack of structure. And what is amazing about Southern Province is that you guys, despite all the challenges, you are producing players that are stunning the Midlands Basketball Association at the moment. Talk about Matera Magic, the champions. They have a player who has roots from Southern Province as we speak. Talk about Monali Stans, the former defending champions. They've got players that come from Southern Province. Talk about all these clubs that are seemingly doing well in Lusaka. They've got players that come from Southern Province. So maybe tell us, what do you think that you do different to be able to develop this reservoir of talent that goes in these different associations and do well?
Um, I think to answer that, uh, I can just simply say that we've just stuck to the basic fundamentals of basketball because we've established something in Southern Province where if you don't understand the fundamentals of basketball, it will be very difficult for you to progress as a player. So if you master the fundamentals, everything else flows. So I think that has been our major motivation when it comes to Southern basketball. So most of the players that come from Southern Province play basketball, they have mastered the fundamentals, and when they decide to develop their ability, it becomes easy on their part to develop. Only the sky is the limit for their development. I think that's what we have really focused as on the part of our league here in Livingstone. I think that's the thing that we were even talking about. I think that was 2 months ago, where we want to now start having clinics for the youths, for the young ones, where they just learn the fundamentals of basketball, just the basics, because that's what we are lacking at the moment. COVID era took a lot of programs to sleep, and when we came out of COVID, post-COVID era, very little things were happening. So we're trying to get ourselves back on the feet and see how best we can push it forward. Otherwise, it's also on the other part, it's also the determination of the players and probably the self motivation that they have for themselves, because literally uh, you can barely see anything happening in Southern Province. So it's just their self motivation that helps them improve themselves and probably work even harder than and wanting to be in those places that they are right now. I think that's what we have focused on. I think that's that.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Okay, so we seem to have a little bit of an echo situation. Like I said earlier on, we are desperately trying to fix this echo issue that we have. I can see Aliko Jacob in the comments stressing this issue. I know it's irritating. I greatly apologize, but please trust me. I'm doing everything possible to be able to just do this. But my question to you as a follow-up was, are you in talks with the current leadership in Southern Province? And
Come again.
who are in this leadership?
Being in talks with the current leadership of Southern Basketball Association, no, we are not. We are just currently organizing things on our own, well, in different teams that is within Livingstone. Uh, the Southern Basketball Association is nowhere to be seen. I'll be lying if I say I have seen anyone come through and say something about developing basketball here and there. It hasn't happened in a really long time, and we really want that to change because there's so much potential out here. We also want to take part in the championship, and being in talks with any executive member of the SBA, no, we are not. But we have tried to reach out for for them to come on board and actually be part of it. And then I think it was received in the wrong way. I don't want to go into details, but it was received in the wrong way. So we decided to say no. Let's see how far we'll go. Let's not disturb whatever plans SBA has. Let's just work with what we have. When they bring up a plan, we'll definitely go with that. We are very much willing to go with the SBA and see their plan. We want to make it work. We are one province, so we expect everything to move as Southern, not just Livingstone. We want everyone to be involved.
Mm. Okay, so Coach Mulo, uh, there is a question for you over there. I believe Mr. Mwalula joined back and did not explain a few things that you mentioned earlier on, but he would like to explicitly say what it is that you're going some of the areas that CDF can do to be able to improve CBA.
I think one of the things is I think has already been one of the major things has already been tackled. I'm privy to certain information. I think we'll be having, I think, 2 referee clinics this year. One will be for level 1, the other one will be for level 2. I think, like my counterpart there said, I think both coaches have said we need a lot of investment in our coaches. So the one thing that I think they have pushed that I've seen is that this year we are going to have a lot of interaction as coaches on those platforms. On the other hand, David's point was actually, I don't know if it's the lack of a better term, actually pierced my heart. As PBS, I don't think we hardly don't communicate. We don't know what's going on here, what's going on there. If we are not friends, just acquaintances, we have no idea what's going on in these other provinces. And I think this all comes down to maybe ZBF bringing the whole of basketball together, putting everybody under one umbrella, making communication to be easier. I know there's a WhatsApp group for PBAs, but in that WhatsApp group, you hardly know who is who. The GS will drop something in there, wherever will say I, and forget about it, and that is it. So, in my thought on what David had said, I would like to propose this. This is food for thought for guys as we go to the AGM. To all the provinces, what is the biggest challenge in terms of televising our games, even on Facebook? Do you realize that if we had one particular platform, one particular page where we can televise, where we can stream our games, we would have better ideas of how basketball is developing in most of these places. because we see small little clips, be it TikTok, be it on Facebook, you name it, of guys showing skills here and there from all these provinces, all these schools, all these places. But we, as the so-called associations, why haven't we come together? Why don't we have one platform where we'll say, guys, each time the game's over the weekend, this is where we put the link. Let everybody come to that platform. Let everybody watch the games from there. Let us interact from there. You know, it would be easier to help to point out, to see things that each association is missing out. Unlike where we are all in the dark and we go for meetings, and then, especially if it's an AGM where we'll be voting, we start having dark corner meetings and things like that. We look at each other with evil eyes. It doesn't really resonate well. So David's point was, it was a very good thing. It's guys, it's food for thought. We really need to be one. That is the only way we develop the sport. Even when trials and things are going on, it's easier to say, hey, Coach David, you know, there's this kid here. Remember the one from that game? You even go to the clips, you even go to the games, you get to see all these things. That would really, really help a lot. I think it's something that we really need to look into. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so David actually is with us this evening. David, are you able to hear us?
Hello.
Yes, David, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, wonderful. So Mula was just expanding on your point with regards the issue of PBAs speaking to each other and working together. And I had just thrown one of your thoughts on the screen, which is very interesting. Meetings and exchanging notes to improve basketball should be mandatory. And I'd like to find out, when you talk about this, who is supposed to ensure that this is mandatory? That Eastern Province, you know, will know that if we don't participate in this, maybe this is the fine we risk facing, or perhaps this is the disadvantage that we may incur on ourselves if we don't do this. And just how important is this thing that you're calling for PBS to start speaking to each other at the moment?
Okay. Thanks, Wendy, for that. I hope I'm audible now.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So the point I was trying to drive at is looking at the way the league is structured. You know, everything has been given to say PBAs will be running the leagues, and then ZBF will come in at national championship level. So for me, I feel it's high time we start having a situation where the PBAs themselves, they have like on a yearly basis have their own AGM where they sit and look at the progress which each PBA is having, what problems they're facing, and then from there, that's where now everything is gathered, which should be presented to the federation. Because I feel to say right now everybody goes into the ZBF AGM with their own problems, and everybody just speaks different languages. They're not speaking the same language. So the goal is we want to develop basketball in Zambia. And basketball shouldn't be just a thing of Lusaka, Copper Belt. Basketball is supposed to be nationwide. We are talking about having a pool of where we are picking players. We all need to be on the same page. We cannot be having a situation like like this the gap in referees. Referees are not just Lusaka. Referees are supposed to be countrywide. These are the issues that they need to be discussing during their AGM to say, no, we cannot be having Mwishi and Pecos or Billy and Vivid or even Luco attending FIBA workshops, attending ABC. It's supposed to be everybody because everybody's talking about basketball. So for me, I feel to be progressive, this is where we need to start from. We need the PBAs need to take charge where they're meeting and they're coming up with things that they're going to improve themselves. They shouldn't just be looking at, oh no, ZBF. No, ZBF, yes, They're there, but they're overseeing. It's not supposed to be a case where everybody's just waiting for ZBF. It's the PBS to step up. They need to start interacting, because this gap is just from lack of interactions between the PBS. Hello?
Okay, am I audible now? I believe everybody can hear me now. Okay.
Yeah.
So so Mono, I'm coming to you. There's this thing that Martin, I've just wrote it on the screen right now. Martin has raised something very, very interesting. He's talking about the issue of people not really being honest with each other, sugarcoating stuff. PBAs such as the CBA not really having the candid conversations that we're supposed to have so that we could develop. I just want to find out. Okay, I know Martin is in the NBA at the moment, but is this something that perhaps is happening as well in the Copper Belt? Can you relate to this in any way? And David also talked about the issue of PBAs taking the initiative to be able to speak to one another and doing all these things. You being the GS of CBA, are we looking at deliberate measures come this season that will drive towards this important point that David has raised? I'd like to hear from you on those two things.
I think I'll start with David. David is very right. The only thing I think we have to start is where to begin from in terms of our interactions. As we try to accept, all of us here, as we try to accept, all the PBS try to accept that, guys, yes, we need to talk as one. Is where do we start from? Because sometimes we take basketball like certain problems. It's not, when you've got a financial problem, do not look for the person with the money to help you. Sometimes even somebody without the money can give you an idea of how to sort your problem out. Majority of the problems that the PBAs will face for not executing most of their programs comes down to money. Okay, so they'll rather not ask for guidance for anything because they think it's going to be about money. Are they going to help? Are they going to do this? You see, from experience, we hosted the All-Star game. We requested for the All-Star game to host that. Okay, I kid you not. We never reached out unless behind my back. I don't think my chairman reached out. I don't think anybody in the executive reached out to any PBA to make that a success. We sat down, we came up with a plan, okay, and we came up with something which came out good. And very soon you'll be seeing the rewards that we reaped from that event. So we need to have an open mind. Let's not speak to each person with a hidden agenda. Let's just be real about what is going on. We really cannot have a running basketball with underqualified referees. How is that possible? You've got Sunday in the country, you've got Mweshi in the country, you've got Kennedy Msonda in the country. There's so many refs that can help us, but how? It's because we'll look at the costs. How are we going to get Mweshi all the way to Eastern Province? Mweshi wants to sleep in a 4-star hotel. How the hell are we going to get Sunday from here? Sunday is busy. He's also going to. These are the little things that people will, like Martin is saying, maybe we are sugarcoating. It may come down to money. It may come down to finances. Okay, but if we do not share these things, if we do not say, guys, we've got 8 people that are interested in being taught as referees, I don't think everybody will just keep quiet and say, oh, sort yourselves out, contact the referees association, they'll give you a plan and you guys come up with the money and whatnot. People, we can help each other on resources. So it is true, we need to come together. But the biggest question now starts is how and where you know, and who is going to start it? I'm fortunate enough that Martin, David, these are coaches I look up to. These are people I speak to, you know. I can easily interact with these people. These are coaches that I know. But you ask me, oh, how many coaches do you know in Southern Province, Eastern Province? Oh, scratch my head. If my head was on the chopping board on a guillotine, I probably would be dead because I didn't mention one. But yet, we've got players coming from those regions that are performing quite well, but they were coached by someone. And we have no idea, some of us don't have any idea on all those coaches are because of lack of interaction, lack of exposure. Yes, Watson. Watson, are you there?
Okay, I'm right here, back in business. Okay, so I was saying that what I would like to find out from you is, as you will be taking part in the AGM, obviously, as well. Has the agenda been shared with you from ZBF?
Come again? When we take up the AGM?
Has the agenda for the AGM been shared with you?
Yes, it has.
Okay. Okay. Now let me move on. I'm trying to look for a comment that Uncle Pembe there puts up talking about the issue of technology. And there you are. Okay. So this one I'd like to bring Jared. Jared, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So first, Uncle Mwembe here is saying something very interesting. He's talking about utilizing things such as technology without necessarily having to wait for ZBF to help you achieve certain things. But with the use of the internet, YouTube, and all these things, video calling, people like Mulo, people like David Sonda, people like Coach here, just to exchange knowledge and do all these things. Are you utilizing technology in Eastern Province to be able to get around and solve some of the issues?
Yes, we are. On the referees part, we are. We received some. We'll be receiving some links to the junior NBA referees and the NBA football referees clinics that are happening online. So we do share with our referees, with our technical director, and he does share with the referees. They do attend those, and that's how we usually help ourselves. But of course, the the physical training is very much important because the refs will learn a lot when somebody is right there physical telling them or teaching them. Through the online, definitely, yeah, it does help in some way. But I think the physical trainings are very much important to us.
Okay. So let me bring on Coach Muyaba, who's with us this evening. Okay, so I'd like to request that maybe those of us, if you're not on the platform or if you're not on the floor, if you're kind of mute your microphones, that we're trying to kill this echo that apparently I've been trying to get around to sort out this evening. So let's try that and see if it works. Okay. Okay, so Coach, you are on the floor right now, and you spoke about a lot of things with regards how you feel let down, as Southern Province basketball, and you've begun a league at the moment, which is struggling to get the recognition or affiliation from the, Zambia Basketball Federation mother body itself. So, would like to find out from you, what next?
Okay. What next for LBA, for Livingston basketball, Southern Province basketball?
Yes, for Livingston basketball.
If for Livingston basketball, if Southern Province does not come through with proper structure, we keep working the way we are working right now. We're just hoping we move forward the way we are doing things. hopefully one day we're going to be noticed, say, oh, these people are really serious with what they're doing, and it's a plus on our side if SBA comes on board, ZBF also comes on board. It's a plus on our side. What next? We'll probably try to initiate a certain dialogue with the ZBF or the SBA. Probably we'll start with the ZBF because we do not know who's in the SBA. They have not been available for us, so definitely we just have to take it up from up there. Hopefully, it will work out. We just want to see things being done here in Southern Province, and probably also have a chance to interact with other provinces, of course. As the other coaches have mentioned, that it's very important for PBAs to also be in a certain form of interaction where we share notes with one another, because you can see the level of basketball, the difference in the level of basketball being played in Lusaka, in Copperbelt. It's way different from the way basketball is played down here in Southern Province. Like the quality is, there's a very big gap. Because due to the fact that SBA does not want to be involved, ZBF is nowhere to be seen here. It becomes very difficult for others to come on board and probably chip in. So we really want these the ZBF, the SBA to come on board. That's the way forward that I expect from. If this issue can really be tabled in the AGM, where the SBA, the structure is availed to everyone, we don't have to look for them, and these issues are addressed there, I think it will be a plus on our side. It will really be a plus because we don't even know when the off season is. We just see you are just asking Coach Wale if he received the agenda for the AGM. I got wind of the AGM today. I got wind of, so definitely I don't have the agenda yet. I don't know if any of my colleagues from here have the agenda, but if they do, they have not shared it. So I would really love to see ZBF and SBA work their issues out and probably come to us, because I'm not even part of I wasn't even part of the SBA. I've never been part of it. I'm just a coach down here trying to see that basketball is developed. And as I alluded earlier on, there's a lot of talent and we want to groom it, want it to grow. So we really want these two to really come on board. That's what we expect. What next is entirely dependent on the resolutions that are going to be made if this issue comes up in the AGM. So that's the expectation on my side.
Okay, so let me bring in David. So again, kindly, just a reminder, if you're not on the floor, just kindly mute your microphone so that we try and clear off this echo that we're experiencing at the moment. So I can see, Jared, your microphone is still on, and Christina as well. So just kindly mute your microphone at the moment. So we're trying to clear off this echo thing. But David, let me come to you, David, now. And yeah, we are okay now. So let me come to you, David. This issue that is happening in Southern Province at the moment, I think I'd like to tap your mind on that. Earlier on, Mulo gave his 2 cents on this issue. But from your perspective, there's a myriad of issues. Before I get to what you are expecting as a person operating within the Midlands, but first of all, this Southern Province issue, how do you think it can be navigated? What do you think should be done?
Thank you, Wendy. So with the issue with Southern Province, and I'm not just, and I feel to say it's not just Southern Province. I think it's a lot of PBAs that are affected. Um, this, I feel to say, should be something that overseers need to look at, and you know, because we are saying to say ZBF has tasked PBAs to run the league, but do they do follow-ups to make sure to say PBAs are actually um, doing what they expect them to do? I think that's the first question that we need to ask. Because I feel to say right now, everything has just been thrown to say you guys do A, B, and C. And in Southern Province, I believe there was Robert and Chimunya and Francis. Those are the old people I knew to say they were running the league there. And after Robert left, and in Chimunya, I don't think that there's been anybody who's been in the association at the moment. So if people move from associations, what is the next step? I feel to say ZBF there now has to come in to say, no, 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 no. Here there's this gap. How do we fill this gap? So these are just certain things that I feel to say as ZBF they need to enhance their outreach to these PBAs to make sure they're doing what's necessary to build the sport, as opposed to just focusing on Lusaka. And I know to say it's a fact to say Lusaka, Copper Belt, they are ever interacting. That's why the sport is like this. And I know to say ZBF, the officials are ever interacting in these two PBAs. But how about the rest of the PBAs? What exactly are they doing? I know a call in 6 months is not beneficial to anybody. It's supposed to be every weekend. Calls are being made. How is the league going there? Who's doing ABC? Oh, Nchimunya has moved from there. Who has gotten in Chimunya's position? Because if I can ask the gentleman from Southern Province, the reason why he doesn't even have the agenda, because I don't think there's even people holding office in Southern Province under the PBA. The only person I'm aware of is Jabu, but Jabu is just a coach. So I feel to say ZBF, they need to do a lot when it comes to interacting to make sure to say all these PBFs, their structures are up to date and everything is working according, and even just the PBAs themselves. They need to be checking on each other to say Southern Province, what's happening? Eastern Province, because right now when you go to the championship, it's like it's the same regions that are playing the championships. What about the rest? Because if we do the numbers, how many PBAs are there in Zambia? And how many of them take part in the championships? How are we making it easy for them to take part in the championships? Those are the things that we need to be looking at for us to be progressive. Because I feel to say, even this AGM that's coming up, the AGM is being held in Lusaka or Copper Belt. Why can't we just be deliberate? Take the AGM to Southern Province for changes. We just take it to Southern Province. Because these PBAs are absent because of the financial aspect. So I feel to say ZBF, they need to, go out there, be on the ground, start talking to these PBAs. Southern Province is actually huge. When you talk about Southern Province, you're talking about, I remember there was this issue of inclusion of, I know Choma, Mazabuka, uh, all these are in southern province. How do you run a league when the distance between Livingston and Choma well over 300 Ks. So these are just certain issues that they need to tackle. How do we divide Southern so that we have something beneficial, something active in the Southern region, even Eastern? Even I know to say, Mr. Mwenya in Wapula is doing a great job. I've seen every championship he's been, he's been showing up, and kudos to him for taking the culture of not giving up to Wapula. Yeah. So what about Mongo? Do we have? I know to say Kenny has been ever talking about basketball in Mongo. So these are just certain things. These are certain issues that need to be tackled if we want to be progressive in basketball. So I feel the problems that are happening in Southern Province and other regions is because people are not actually making sure the structures are there and just being present, being deliberate. So
Okay. So
it
David,
takes more. Yeah.
before I move on from you, you operate in Midlands, coaching Material Magic, the current champions.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for this AGM? And I think this is a question that all of your panelists had to answer as we commenced this conversation. What are some of your expectations for this AGM?
First and foremost, Wendy, my expectations. I can only have expectations from an AGM if I know exactly what, because what's been spoken about. I know to say as affiliates, we need to be aware of what's happening at the upcoming AGM, and this is through the PBAs. But the PB as the affiliates, we are not privy to what's to be discussed. A simple example. The only thing I'm aware of is the rules and regulation, which is just one component of the AGM. How about the rest of the AGM? For me to be expectant, I need to have content of what was to be discussed at the AGM. Even me as an affiliate, I need to rehearse with my PBA before they even travel to. So I was expecting to say we have an AGM as a PBA first before the actual ZBF AGM, for us to have a clear understanding of what ZBF has put up to say this is what to be discussed, and us will give them their view. So at the end of the day, I might have expectations, but my expectations won't be heard because my voice has been limited. Information hasn't been shared apart from the rules and regulation document. So Wendy, my expectations are a lot, but they won't carry water because they'll just end up on this show. I hope you understand. You understand my point.
Yes, I do understand your point, David. And on that note, allow me to just bring on Gerard Peary, who's joining us from the Eastern Basketball Association. Now, Gerard, building on David's point, I would like to find out. David has raised something very, very cardinal here. For you to be prepared to take part in this AGM, you need to be armed with information. When we talk about information, we're talking about the agenda, correct information about the agenda. So tell me, Mr. Peary, were you adequately furnished with the information with regards to the agenda? And to what extent does this agenda speak or represent the wishes of the people in the EBA? We seem to have lost Mr. Peary over there. But Mulo, maybe let me throw this question to you. Earlier on, you confirmed having received the notice, okay, about the AGM and everything. But I'm still on the issue of the agenda, okay, that was furnished to you, if it was furnished to you. Maybe you can confirm to us if it was adequately furnished to you. To what extent does it represent the wishes of people in the CBA?
The agenda for this AGM is no, maybe vague, with lack of a better term, but the only thing that we're getting from ZBF, I think, are going to be the reports, and that is where the questions are going to come from, because they are going to give us reports. Each PBA is coming up with reports. Even obviously ZBF are going to give us the reports. Then from there, yeah, we'll throw in our questions and whatnot. So, like David has said, the biggest component that we have, that even ZBF has asked us as PBS, is to look at the league and competition rules. So that comes to us. Okay, so really it's not a ZBF issue, it's a PBA issue. But as ZBF, what programs do they have for us? That hasn't been outlined yet. Maybe we'll hear that in their report, and from there, we'll be able to ask questions here and there. As those who are privy to the information, the AGM is going to be in two. The first session in the morning is going to be just for the executive. Then after that, they're going to now introduce, all of us are now going to partake in it. All the PBAs and any other affiliates that are going to travel are now going to be introduced into the meeting. So right now, it's about information. And then depending on how much time will be given to query whatever reports will be given and to add on to what we think should be, it's either near here or there. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see for that.
Before I bring in Coach Muela, you've said something very, very interesting, Mulo. You know, one, there's the issue of ambiguity or vagueness, if I may put it. And then secondly, I mean, I have taken part in AGM meetings before, and the standard practice has been you are furnished with information beforehand. Okay, if it's a report, if it's a financial report, you are given beforehand. You read that particular financial report. You, in this context, for example, CBA, you know, you take to your affiliates and say, okay, we affiliate to ZBA. We made this, or this is what they've done. What is your comment? They give you the submissions, and then you take those submissions. Now, if they take you to a meeting where they'll throw, or where they already put you in a position where they'll hit you with an element of surprise, you know, how do you ask information? For example, you know, I'm just using this as an example, Mulo. Assuming, Mulo, you're not an accountant like David, you don't understand the issue of numbers, you can't break down a financial statement properly, and then you're just thrown in the deep end. Here's a financial statement, Mulo. What are your questions? If you don't ask, we will not blame you, because why? It would have been ideal that you were given that report in good time. You take it to the experts. You see where the holes are. You come up with a position which you submit to your members. You know, you have one voice. Then you come back and say, well, we needed clarity on this. We needed clarity on this. You ask informed position. Don't you think this is something that you people should challenge ZBF to start doing, unlike just bringing you to a meeting where you don't really understand, or you're not really clear as to exactly what it is that they'll be giving you?
You are very right. You are very right. Previous practice, that has been the case. The last AGM we had, when we brought in Maziko, Mr. Nyerenda, we brought in all these people. That is what happened. Okay, we were given the reports. We had gone through the reports in advance. And somebody mentioned something to do with the constitution. The constitution was given to us even before. We had gone through it. We had done all the necessary changes. We had submitted. We had done everything. That AGM was just for elections and endorsing the constitution and questioning, like you said, the financial reports. That is the way it's supposed to be. At this moment, we cannot really query it. The AGM was not supposed to be this month, okay? But it has been pushed. All of a sudden, it's this month. They know better. The simplest reason is, guys, we want basketball to start early in other regions, okay, so that we end early. All right. Because of that, a lot of things have now been thrown outside the window. Getting the reports on time, letting the affiliates and the PBS sit down and really dissect the reports and really come up with other suggestions. Those things have been thrown out. And we can only put our foot in the door for the door not to close if, like David had said, if the PBAs can have their meeting first. Guys, we sit down, hey, all right, MBA is the issue, Eastern is the issue, this is the issue. So we're going to this AGM like this. That is when we can do that. But right now, we walk into that AGM, I mentioned to you, we're going to be villains. You're too negative. You're too this. You're too that. You're too that. So this is going to be an informative AGM, really. We'll wait and hear what they're going to tell us. We will question this and that, this and that. We might get some answers. Most likely we won't get answers. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. We really can't do much.
You have I like, the elements that you've mentioned, that PBAs really must take responsibility and begin to develop a culture of speaking to each other. This is something that is very, very cardinal. And I mean, I totally 100% agree with you. But just as a confirmation, I'd like to hear this from you. And maybe David will also chip in on this after Coach Muyaba. Jabu is asking, how often does ZBF get reports from PBAs? Is it weekly, monthly, or yearly? Confirm for us from the CBA. Do you at any point submit reports to ZBF? Do you do it weekly, daily, monthly, annually, 6 months, biannually?
At the AGMs only. At the AGMs. Our affiliates get before the beginning of the season, we will have our own meeting, yes, where we'll have our reports. But for ZBF, rarely. They'll get those during the AGM.
David, Coach Muyaba, sorry, just hang on for me for a little bit. Allow me to bring just David quickly, David.
So, Wendy, thanks a lot. Listening to Mulo and his explanation, I feel to say as in the upcoming AGM, I just don't understand why they're even holding an AGM, because everybody's just going in ill-equipped. So what's the point of having an AGM when nothing is going to be discussed? That would be, if it's anything concerning the league starting early, I feel to say let them just send the memo and that's it. Because at the end of the day, if Moon doesn't have the financial reports, he doesn't have he hasn't held his AGM as a PBA, then what's the point of going there? Because at the end of the day, when you go to an AGM, you need to go present the issues from the PBAs, and these are from affiliates. So affiliates have to speak up first, and then those issues have to be presented. So I don't see the point of having this AGM then. Hello?
I think it's going to connect. The connection is a bit slow.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. So that's the issue, Modo, because I feel to say as in.
Okay, I'm back now, David. I'm back now, David. Okay. Sorry. What I wanted to know is, do you on the issue of the reports, do you get some sort of maybe to your knowledge? I know Yvonne was supposed to be here to answer this question adequately, but unfortunately, she said she's busy at the moment with school writing exams, so she was not able to join us. But what I'd like to find out, to your knowledge, do you know if at all, the MBA submits reports either monthly, weekly to the office of the General Secretary or anybody relevant with regards to the operations and their affairs within the MBA?
I have no knowledge on that. The only thing I know is um, MBA would just do an income and expenditure, which they present at the AGM. But reports on that one, no, I don't have any knowledge of if they submit reports.
Okay. Okay, so interesting. We've got a comment here from Uncle Mwembe who says ordinarily ZBF is supposed to receive periodical reports from the PBAs, and this should be at NEC meetings. Okay. Let me
So,
now take
Wendy,
this opportunity.
sorry,
Mm-hmm.
Wendy, yeah. So, just to before I lose the thought, I feel to say as in the other thing that will justify the reports is having ZBF give targets to PBAs. Because at the end of the day, if I'm expecting a report from you, Wendy, I've given you something to do. You have a target to do. And as I'm looking at the report, I'll look at the target which I gave you. Did you meet it or not? And that will be the point of discussion when we meet. So I know to say there's no one from ZBF to answer this, but I feel to say ZBF, they need to start giving targets to PBAs. And that's the only way they'll be checking to say if they are being progressive or not. The fact that you've given them the league to run, you need to make sure targets are there to say, are you achieving these? Because that's the only way you're going to do your checks and balances.
I think that has been shared. I think the vision of ZBF in terms of the development of basketball, that document which they gave, I think, all the PBAs is supposed to be the template of what we need to achieve in our regions.
Yeah.
Spreading basketball throughout, obviously trying to get things like sponsorship, making sure we've got developmental leagues running and things like that. I have seen that document. That document
Okay,
is
so
there.
Mulo, is there a time frame to those? Is there a time frame to those guidelines or targets that ZBF gives? Are they annual? Is it maybe?
No. Yeah, that is one thing that has not been put there. That is one thing that has not been put there. So whether it sticks to our tenure of office or whether it's supposed to be annual, that is one thing that has not been put there. So it's actually the tenure of the guys in the office right now. The 5 years or the 4 years that they are running, okay, in that 4 or 5 years that they are running, we should be able to do this. So whatever they have at the top is what they've given at the bottom, and that is what we're supposed to follow. But because of the landscape that we have, it is very difficult to follow some of these things. That is why I think all the gentlemen on board who have gone through the league and competition rules, they do not favor certain regions because of what is going on, and that will be mostly that's going to be one of the talking points at the AGM. You find you're talking about, I think I looked at the figures for transfers, I looked at the dates for transfers, those things, some of these things are not applicable. You look at the YBL, the ages, how the YBL should be set up. They're not applicable. Yes, it is the right practice, but it is not applicable at the moment. There's been a question about conflict of interest. Yes, conflict of interest is there, but because of what's going on, we cannot apply it. A lot of things are going to crumble. So I have seen what ZBF needs from us, the PBS. Yes, I've seen that document. But there's been no time frame. It's an assumption from myself and my understanding that it has to be done within the 4 to 5 years that we are running.
Okay. Anyway, I'm glad that you've answered my question when you use the word assumption, because for me, really, it becomes difficult, Molo. If you come to tell me and say, I want you to build a house, you haven't told me in 6 months, in a year, you haven't even said. So, I mean, I can simply fold my hands and say, well, Mulo wants me to build a house. So, whenever I feel like I can start, I will start. But anyway, I'll come back to you with that. Let me bring in Coach Muyawa over here. Coach Muyawa, you talked about something. You mentioned. If I can just have the microphones on mute. Okay. Thank you. you mentioned something about a team in Livingston, sorry, from Zimbabwe, taking part in
Yes.
your league, in the Livingston Basketball League. Why is this team not taking part in the Zimbabwean League? Because we know that there's an active Zimbabwean League happening at the moment. What can we learn from the Zimbabwean League with regards promoting unity, inclusion?
Okay. On that part for the Zimbabwean team, it's a nearby team. It's just across the Big Falls town. That's where they're based. They take part in the Zimbabwean league. So for them, I'm not sure on how the league runs and for how long it runs. But when we started this season with them, they were willing to be part of it. They're still part of it, just that now they are not actively involved because of the league that has started on their part. So if they happen to, we had made an agreement saying if they happen to, you know, come out on top and be the league champions, and we're given an opportunity to go for championships. We had agreed that since they're not from Zambia, would go to the second position. And for them, their main interest was to actually to be to scout for players that they can sign in for their team and see if they can use them in their league in Zimbabwe. So it was in that vein that they decided to be part of us. So in as much as they wanted to be part of us, they also wanted to also scout for players because they were short of players and they needed players both on the men's team and the women's team. Otherwise, the competition that they brought with was good, and it was very good interaction for us. And the fact that they were very technical in the way that they brought in issues of refereeing. They were even suggesting things like holding coaching clinics for refs and for coaches. We need to learn the rules and all those things. They were willing to come through and help us. We were privileged that the coaches that is responsible for that team are licensed referees, and they should be level two. I'm not really sure. They should be level two. So they were willing to actually come through and help us with the aspect of refereeing, because in Livingston we only have one ref with a certificate. I don't know what level he has. I should be the lowest level. So they were willing to come on board, and the other guys that help with the refing, because the other guys that ref are actually just people that are basketball fanatics, people that love basketball, that have an understanding of basketball, and since they cannot play anymore, they want to ref. And the others, sometimes coaches come through when their team is not playing, they help out just like that. So I think that was a plus on our side, where they were really helping us in terms of understanding how to make certain calls and also all those things on the refing aspect. So I think that's one way we benefited from this side, because they're actively involved in a big league in Zimbabwe, like the main league. So it was good to learn from them. Hopefully they'll be back with us next season as we start the season. Hopefully this time around the dates for when the league kick in Midlands and Copperbelt starts,
Okay, so we seem to have a bit of a technical challenge there from Coach Muyava. But gentlemen, as we get to wrap up the show, obviously I have to let you guys go and rest. I know, David, you're coming from a long, long flight. But from both of you, there's an interesting comment there. And Uncle Mwembe there says, I have also seen the document. It is a 4-year plan, but certain key performance areas have annual targets, while some have a 4-year result target. David, I'll start with you. Are you have you been held, say, to, okay, have you seen in the system that you function in, David, at the moment, or in fact, maybe let me start with Mulo, first of all, who is actually, the General Secretary. Mulo, have you been, say, held to account with regards the annual targets that Mwembe here is talking about? And has the federation taken keen interest to come and ask you, Mulo, and say, look, these are the 4-year targets. In year 1, on this long-term goal, we expect you to reach here. Year 2, at least this is where you're supposed to be. Year 3, you're supposed to be here, so that by year 4, we can be talking about review, measuring progress, and simply celebrating, and toasting the champagne of you having achieved the goal that we set out. Is the federation providing that oversight?
Formally, no. I'm expecting maybe a couple of those questions at the AGM, but informally, the ZBF GS has been on my neck. Yes, he has been keeping tabs on me on some of the things that when we took over, we said we were going to change. So on that note, he has been checking up on what's going on. He has been asking me on what certain things are not happening. That we've got that communication. But formally, as in written from the federation, nothing yet. Unless it pops up at the AGM, maybe.
Okay, David, over to you. In your environment, is this something that perhaps you have seen?
When it comes to the targets, for me, I feel to say this is something that they need to like look at like on a serious note, because right now, if we do not have a target, yes, the vision is there. Yes, everything has been set out to say in 4 years we need to be here, and yearly we need to be here. But the implementation is what's very important. And for you to implement, you need to be checking. Like you said, Wendy, if I give you a task to build a house, I need to tell you to say, Wendy, by the end of this week, I need to see a slab. By then, you'd have done your BOQ, you've done everything. And I just need to come and say, hey, Wendy, it's 1 week. Where are you? Then you give me a report on the slab. Then each and every stage will be followed for us to achieve something that we want to achieve. And this is something that ZBF, even the PBAs themselves, they need to look at. And for me, I feel to say information needs to be on an open door. Affiliates need to know exactly what's going on. And these are certain things that need to be shared to affiliates, not just a certain few, no, but to everybody. When we have these meetings, these are certain issues that need to come up to say, this is the goal. We have been given this task. How can we achieve this? As affiliates, we'll pitch in, we'll give in our ideas. And even when we start seeing certain things change, we would know to say, oh, it's because of A, B, and C. So I feel to say on the aspect of information, we need to have an open door. This thing of where information is just kept to a certain few is what's actually restricting the growth of basketball in Zambia. So we need to change that. Even ZBF, they need to be hands-on when it comes to their key points when it comes to development. So for me, I feel to say we need to change our mindset. Come 2024, everything just has to change. We need to have a yearly target. We're not just supposed to have an issue where we just saying to say the league needs to finish by November. Yes, the league will finish by November, but what has happened between January and November? Is it something that is in line with our goals? Or people were just playing and having fun? Was there any development? Was there any change? Because right now we are complaining to say the standard of basketball has started going down. Is it in line with their plan to say in the next 4 years the standard of basketball needs to go down or needs to improve? Those are certain things that they need to be keen on to say what's causing this. PBAs, why is this happening? Why are we having this from where we were to where we are at the moment? So I'm hoping to say this year we'll see some change.
I think, can I add on something to what David has said?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think David is right on point. You know, if we come out of this AGM and we say, okay, Eastern Province, by the end of the season or by mid-season, we need this done. This is your task for the next 6 months. Can you please go and do this? Or this is your task for the first 2 months. All right, that gives a target, okay, a scope of work. We'll go back to the affiliates and say, to our executive and say, guys, we need to do this by then. How do we achieve this? It becomes easier to achieve it because since you've got a target, even going back and asking for help because of the area that you're in is okay. But when we look at the whole document, there is so much that needs to be done. You do not know where you're going to start from. So once we're given target and we say, okay, guys, this needs to be done here, guys, this needs to be done here, it's going to be much better. Like for instance, in our region, one of the biggest thing that we are targeting this season, we have to make sure that our YBL kicks off again. We have slacked behind in terms of our players developing and things like that because our YBL has died. So that is one thing that we are all looking into. That is our main focus. The league will be there, yes, but that will be our main focus. So at ZBF, what is their main focus for each region? Right now, we all look at Southern and say Southern needs to become one. Okay, we'll look at Eastern. What is needed from Eastern? We need this from Eastern. What is needed from Northern? We need this from Northern. So can we have that? Can we have that resolution? Can we have those targets? Then I think we will all be held accountable. Next time we sit down and say, David will be like, Mulo, weren't you guys told you were supposed to do this and this? David, now Ishva, there was this and that, we didn't get help. We're going to be answerable. But when I look at the whole document today and I look at it, oh, there it said we need to do this, there it said we need to do this, hey, we're not going to go anywhere. So I think David is on point there. And I hope somebody from ZBF is watching and listening. Yes, I'll be there in the meeting. I might bring it up. But if I'm lazy enough, I'm not going to bring it up because it's going to be more work for me. So let's see how it goes.
I like the fact that you've mentioned and hoped that there is somebody from ZBF who is perhaps watching. And I can rest assure you that there are authorities that are actually watching and commenting on the sidelines with regards to the program that we're having at the moment. I was trying to throw this apparently on in the comment section for all of you to see, but I'm unable to do that. I don't know what's happening, but I have something interesting here. I think this I've sent to Coach Muyawa just for your attention. I want you to look at that. Coach Mulo also, I think let me just forward you this so that you can have a look as together with David, so that we can move on the same page as we get to wrap up the show. And I'd just like to get your thoughts on this, gentlemen. Okay, so there you are. Okay, so Coach Mulo, David, you have that. So what I have right now says, hi, I'm following your program. When you talk about reports, I would like to believe that every week a report on who has played and log tables is shared. If anything out of the ordinary happens, there are guidelines that PBAs must follow. As for the case of SPBA, which is Southern Province Basketball, this is where Coach Muyawa comes in. Unfortunately, he's not even here. I think he's momentarily been disconnected due to network. He says the people of Livingston can take a leaf from what happened in Northern Province. It used to be called Northern Muchinga and Wapula Basketball Association. Now they are separate, but it would come from them by showing us that they have organized themselves to take up the challenge. They promised to send letters the same year as MNLBA, but they haven't, and others are now separate. Though things are not going as well as they thought it would go. Uh, I think on this one, I would like to start with, first of all, Coach Muyaba. Coach Muyaba, are you able to hear me?
Uh, yes, I'm able to hear you.
Okay, so based on this response that I've gotten from ZBF, that the people of Livingston apparently did not do their part, their bit with regards. Earlier on, you mentioned that you desperately needed the association or the federation to come to your aid and stabilize things from a leadership point of view, but that has not happened. And according to the message that I've sent you, what say you?
I'm still going through the message.
Wendy, before Coach Muyaba comes in, before he responds to that question, I just want to know what's the structure in Southern Province when it comes to who's the president, who's the GS, who's who?
He
Because
doesn't know. He
as far
mentioned
as
that
I'm
he doesn't know.
concerned, the only person I know is Javu.
Okay,
All
so
right.
Coach Muyaba, the floor is yours.
All right. I've gone through the response, and I've also heard the question. I think let me start with the question that was asked. The structure that we are following right now is we just put a few people in place just here, just within Livingstone. Like Jabu is the chairperson, together with myself and the other colleagues. We're just like six of us, so just given ourselves things to do as far as the league is concerned. So the two chairpersons, there's myself and Jabu, and we're the ones who are in charge of the league table, preparing fixtures, schedules for the league, and so on and so forth, and venues. The others, they also have what to do. Otherwise, when it comes to the structure, we don't have enough manpower to fill up all the positions. We've just given ourselves tasks on what we can do to make sure that the league we're trying to push for is successful. Yeah. Then responding to the response that was given by one of the members from the ZBF, it would be easy for us to do that. Try to do it separate from the SBA like the other provinces have done, but we don't know what the other provinces are doing. That's number one. We don't know what is happening in Eastern Province. We don't know what's happening in Northern Province because there is no that interaction, of which is one of the issues we were talking about. And the other thing I can say on that part is that that part has been tried by Coach Jabu. Letters were written. Well, we wanted the structure for the SBA to, uh, we requested for the meeting to be held, the voting to start, everything to be cancelled, so that everyone comes on board, not just people in Choma, in wherever they are. We wanted everyone from all parts of Southern Province to come together. They sit down, they select their people, so that everyone knows who to call when there's a certain problem or there's a certain issue that needs to be attended to. And ZBF did not respond. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know if my colleague Jawu received the response, but as far as I'm concerned, he did not receive any response from the ZBF. There was an appeal letter that was written again by Coach Jawu over the same. Nothing came through. So when a response like what happened in Northern Province, separating, comes, we expect it to. I don't expect that response to be a reason why we are going through what we are going through now. because we are able to run on our own. What are they saying about the other parts of Southern Province where things are not taking place? You see, so the goal is not just to be separate from the SBA. We want to be part of the SBA. We really want to be part of SBA. We just don't want to engulf ourselves in a small place called Livingstone and then have our games just here, then we move on to the next. No, we want to be part of the SBA because there is an executive for Southern Basketball Association right now, which is not active. So we want that to come to an end. It's not a matter of separating, it's a matter of wanting to see things done on the ground, not just on paper or verbally. We want things to actually be seen and done on site so that we know that, oh, there are people that are actually in charge, or there's this person who you can call if you are requesting for certain things, certain materials, and so on. Because if anything, if we need anything, coaching material, we can reach out to SBA, but there's no one to reach out to. When we try to reach to ZBF, a response is given saying you follow chain of command or chain of communication. So you don't have to jump from SBA, you go to ZBF. So there are all those issues. So the other thing that my colleague also was told was, in what capacity was he appealing that there should be a retake of the voting that took place in Southern Province? I think that should have been 2 years ago. In what capacity was he appealing? So that became very
Okay,
difficult,
so
and that's how we.
okay, so
Yes,
I've thrown this on the screen right now. Earlier on, you said you didn't know who the chairperson or the president is of the Southern Basketball Association. According to Uncle Mwembe here, the chair of SBA is in Chimunya Mwanga. Do you know who this gentleman is? Do you have his number?
I don't know who this gentleman is. I don't have his number, and I don't even know where he is found. Unfortunately,
Okay,
even himself can confirm that.
okay,
Yes.
okay. Interesting, interesting. But what again? I'd like to find out, Mulo, and maybe this you can add with your closing remarks, Mulo, because I really, really need to let you guys go. Um, from the southern province situation that we're seeing right now, it is clear that obviously people in your associations sometimes do not know what recourse or what route they can take, assuming you as leaders are failing in your duties. Now, I'm not saying the president of the SBA has failed because I don't have those facts. But what I'm saying is, assuming people in the CBA felt that you're not doing your job correctly, Molo, and they needed, with the help of the federation, following all the procedures, to perhaps bring in somebody else that can do the job. Are you guys educating your people enough with the spirit of promoting accountability and just knowing that, look, we are in these offices, but the moment you feel we are not living by our promise, this is what you can do. Do people know these things, Mulu? Or you deliberately hide this information so that people can be told things like, in what capacity are you writing? Or you can't do this because they are not following the right procedure, assuming Jawu did not follow the right procedure in this context.
Before I answer that, can I ask you a question? Do you know how we came into power? Wait. Do you know how we came into power?
Educate us, please. Educate us.
We were not happy. The current executive was not happy with the previous executive who ran for a year. We were not happy about the way basketball was running. And we put an end to it. Affiliates came together. We wrote to ZBF, passed a vote of no confidence, and they're not there. We are now here. We've been here for a year. So the people in my town, in my association, know, even I know, if I'm not doing anything right, it's a simple letter. Or an AGM will be, a local AGM will be held, and they'll table it up. Be asked to step down and put somebody in place. They do know. Here we know. So the majority of the guys, I'm surprised you don't know about this, but everybody knows. It was a hostile takeover. We were not happy, and we did our part. So in our region, in
Was
our
it
town,
legal?
yeah.
Was it
It was
legal
legal,
though?
yes.
Was it legal though?
Yes, it was.
'Cause
99.9% of the affiliates signed a petition and voted for the executive that was there to step down. We may have maybe skipped a procedure or what, but at the end of the day, everything came right to the right conclusion. And that is why I feel that the guys in Southern Province, they really don't want it. If they wanted it, they wouldn't be in two. With the lack of a better term, they're behaving like girls. They've got deeper issues within them. They would, because if games are running, if they have got in their own car, they can click and games are running, they can make it happen. But because of maybe personal issues, I'm speaking from nowhere, from without knowledge, they could have happened. Because the time we were having our issues, the time we changed the personnel in our association, the GS personally told me he was trying to get to Southern Province and sort out exactly what was going on. Okay, so I really feel they don't want it. As much as they will say, no, we want this, we want that, we don't know who's, how can you not know? Then who do you write to? Who do you approach? How can you not know? They don't want it. Well, anyway, we'll see what will come out of the AGM, but clearly they don't want it. So my closing remarks, Manchester United is leading 2-0. It's almost half time, so yeah, good. It's a good evening. Yeah.
I hope David did not hear that one. Okay, David, over to you.
I reserve my comment.
David, better.
Okay, so David, obviously I sent you something which Coach Mulo has, and Coach Muyava has, a few clarifications, I presume, being made in that particular response. Just your brief comment on that, and also your closing remarks with regards, what we've been talking about this evening, and just your key takeaways.
So from what's happening in from the comment which you just sent, I feel to say this goes back to the issue of information being shared. You see, like what Mr. Kaona has pointed out. He pointed out to say the chairman is in Chimunya, but the gentleman from New Zealand says, "I don't even know who Chimunya is." So these are just certain things that are just worrying to say. You have an executive in Livingston, but you don't even know who the president is. And we're talking about in Chimunya. Chimunya has been in Lusaka for the longest. So from that point, even ZBF should have pointed it out to say, Chimunya, you're the president, you're based here. What's happening in Southern Province? Who have you left? Follow-ups are actually very, very important to make sure to say all these PBAs are actually doing exactly what they need to be doing. If somebody is put in office, they need to be accountable to their affiliates. They need to make sure to say the voice of the affiliates is being heard. Clearly, as much as Southern Province and other PBAs are not making noise, but I feel to say the people in the executive are not really, really representing the people. So this is something that, goes back to even PBA's meeting. All these issues have been tackled if PBS could meet at that level and say, Southern Province, what's happening? What issues do you have there? Oh, you, what issues do you have there? You, what issues do you have there? Oh, I'm having A, B, and C. Oh, fine. Write to this person. This is how information is shared. This is how development is. It's all about sharing. But the problem that we have is we have this whole thing of say, no, it's we are in MBA. I do not care what's happening in Southern Province. I do not care what's happening in Eastern Province. But we all talk in the same language, which is the language of basketball. If Southern Province is not, I remember back in the days, we used to go as far as Livingston just to go play hookah. But all this has died down. And no one has ever asked that question to say, what's happening there? We need that back. So in my closing remarks, all I can point out is we need to have order in the way we executing things. I feel to say we jump from A to Y, from Y to P, and we are hoping things are going to change. But let's have order in the way we're doing things. ZBF is the overseer. They'll put up their 4-year plan, and this is channeled to the PBAs. The PBAs now, they need to come together. PBAs are departments of ZBF. These departments need to work together. They need to have a goal as well as PBAs to say, us as PBAs, this is our goal. From there onwards now, the PBAs now, they'll channel it to the affiliates. The affiliates will understand the goal and everything is going to come together. From there onwards now, information will flow from the affiliates to whoever is in power in the PBAs. From the PBAs, it will go to ZBA. That's the channel. That's the way it's supposed to be. But at the moment, we do not have such a structure. And that's why basketball at the moment, we're finding it to say in other regions it's failing. Because we are just happy with just seeing 2 or 3 regions doing the most. But at the end of the day, it's a collective effort. We need to start working together. We need to start communicating. Because right now, if you had to ask the Lusaka guys to say, in NBA, how many people do you know from Eastern Province? They have no idea. They don't even know who the chairman from Eastern Province is. If you go to the ZBF website or a ZBF page, they don't even have the structure listed to say this is who, and these are the PBA presidents. There's nothing like that. Information is not out there for people to see. And that's something that we need to work on. Information needs to be out there so that people can see. Because at the end of the day, whoever is in office is working for the affiliates. So they need to be accountable to the affiliates. So for me, I feel if we have to move forward, this is the route we should take. Information is power. Let's disseminate the information. Do not give information gunpoint. People need to understand what's going on from start to finish. Then we are going to achieve our goal in basketball.
Okay, interesting. So, Coach Muyava, I'm coming to you, and with you, I'll go to the advice that probably I saw from Uncle Mwembe here, who says, Wenson, on your question to Mola, advise that when one joins an organization, they must seek its constitution and digest its content. So this was emanating from the fact that, the Copper Belt obviously read the constitution and perhaps followed a certain route that was legitimate and enabled them to be able to remove a leadership they felt was not delivering. Though I've heard Coach Mulo in some certain corners that your leadership or your executive is still legal, but that's a subject for another day. Okay. So from you, Coach Muyaba, I think the challenge that I'd like to find out is going forward. Yes, you are hoping that the federation, even at the forthcoming AGM, could table your issue and come up with resolutions that would put an end to the challenge that is being experienced in Livingston and holding basketball in Southern Province to ransom. But the challenge and the question I have is based on this advice. Do you have people within your structures as Livingston Basketball Association that are familiarizing themselves with the law? I know Jabu has been making some frantic efforts to do what is necessary to be able to achieve certain things for the progress and advancement of the game. But is this something that even you as a coach personally is willing to commit to, as a coach personally willing to commit to understanding the constitution, the route that you can take to be able to petition ZBF the right way?
I think I'll start from this point where Jabu, yes, has been trying effortlessly to, trying to move the whole agenda of the SBA situation being resolved. Yes, I've seen him fight his way through, trying to make sure that these meetings are held here and there, but people did not come through. Moving forward, definitely, I want to be part of the fight. I took personal what Coach Mulo said, not in a bad way though. I'm taking it as motivation where I see him together with the team here, like we don't want it, but we want it so bad. We just didn't know who to approach, and now that we know that, now that I know that it can be done, I really so much want to be involved with the whole thing because we just want to see basketball be played. We just want to see good basketball be played in Southern Province, as we have always known. So I think on those grounds, I feel like on our side, only Jabu has tried his level best to actually reach out, and he's always going through details. He's always sharing information on what is happening on the grounds in terms of basketball. Because I'll be honest with you, some people had actually gave up on the issue of basketball in Southern Province. They saw that there was nothing happening. So it's the initiative for Jabu that actually came through. We know that we are illegal as Livingston Basketball Association because we're not affiliated to ZBF. But then the initiative helped us to be here right now and probably be in this interview right now. And hopefully for the better as we move forward. We want to see this whole thing work out, the whole agenda of basketball. And if there are people that are there, the chimunyas of the SBA, let them come through. We don't want to chase them. We just want them to be available. Let them be available where they are needed. That's the message we're sending. We're not trying to kick out someone, but then if we don't see any changes, definitely we'll take the route that other like the CBA, that what they did, we also take the same route so that we see the things start happening. So this should be a wake-up call to the people that are also actively involved, because I feel like we cannot be having someone who's in Lusaka running Southern Basketball Association. It's not right. It's not right. Let them be there so that they see what is happening on the ground, not just receiving reports over media or phone calls or whatever. Let them be there, actively involved. That's all we need. That is the message that is there. That's all we need as Livingston Basketball Association. So that's what we are just trying to push for. So moving forward, if nothing is done even after the AGM, we will definitely see how best we can help ourselves so that move forward and become something that is recognized as an association.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach Muyaba, for that uh, summation. And of course, I love the fact that whatever has been suggested on this particular platform to you has been very, very enriching, not only giving us insight into what's happening in Livingston, but also being able to recognize what it is that you can be able to implement to be able to bring that change that you so desire with the purpose of transforming Livingston basketball. And I would like to thank all my panelists that were joining me or that have been with me this evening. Coach Mulo, all the way from the Copper Belt, a man who always answers the call whenever I reach out to him. Sir, I really, really appreciate you for that. And I'm really, really grateful. And I can say that, well, Copper Belt basketball, whether that 1% that is remaining from the 99 with regards the legitimacy of your leadership is still there. I mean, I'm just saying thank you for always being there for me. Thank you for always coming through and interacting with people across the country and telling them what's happening within Commonwealth basketball and just updating them and teaching people some of the progresses that you're making. As David was making a point earlier on, the issue of strengthening collaboration, communication between PBAs, already you can see that there are things that Eastern Province can learn from the Copper Belt. There are things that Southern Province can learn from the Copper Belt. And there are things that the Copper Belt can learn from Mansa and Lopula and everybody else all together for the sole purpose of developing the game of basketball. So really, Coach Mulo, I'm just really, really and eternally grateful for you always being there. And thank you very much for availing yourself. I could see in the comment section, people from the Copper Belt firing you questions. For me, I don't bring you here to expose you or put you in the crossfire. That's not the intention. I bring you here to discuss basketball, to develop basketball, to hold each other accountable. And the fact that you're willing to come here and converse with the people that you're leading, for me, in my books, it's a tick, it's a plus. So thank you very much, Coach Mula, for coming through. And I really, really appreciate you. Coach David Msonda, I know that you're coming from a very long flight, all the way from Monastir, Tunisia, attending the 3-on-3 basketball course that you were doing. And yet, when I reached out to you, you were not able to turn down my offer, but you were able to sacrifice your rest and just be able to take part in basketball development. For me, it just demonstrates that indeed you are committed to developing the game of basketball. You are committed to ensuring that this sport that we all love progresses. So thank you very much, Coach David, for sparing the time to come through. Thank you very much. And I'm just short of words, because if I were in your position, I doubt if I would even say yes and take part in the conversation. But there are people like you that are built for these things. There are people like you that have what it takes to not only talk, but try as much as you can in the best way possible to walk the talk. So thank you very much for coming through. And Coach Moyava, all the way from Southern Province, thank you equally for coming through and just educating us on what is going on in Southern Province. The biggest question has always been, why haven't we seen Southern basketball tick as it used to be? Coach David asked you earlier on about Livingston police hookers, just like I did, when we were starting this conversation, trying to find out what really happened, because in the past, we would travel to Livingston to go and play the police hookers, and basketball was happening there up until a time came when comments from Azabuka and all these other guys started coming up. But obviously, the glory days are gone. And John Maxwell says, one of my favorite authors, everything rises and falls on leadership. So probably due to leadership issues, Southern basketball has experienced some sort of stagnation. And because of people like you who are willing to come out in the open, talk about it, not with a view to antagonize anybody, but simply to look for solutions that can improve the situation and restore the glory days of basketball in Southern Province. So we equally salute you for creating the time and we will definitely be coming to you in the future for further engagements just to see how best we can grow Zambian basketball, including Southern Province in the conversation. So to all my panelists, once again, gentlemen, thank you very much. To those of you that were not able to finish the show, like Mr. Jared Peary from Eastern Basketball Association, thank you also for always being there whenever I call on you to come and take part in the conversation with regards developing Zambian basketball and also giving us the perspective from the East with regards basketball and just highlighting some of the areas that you feel through partnership with ZBF and other affiliates you could receive in form of help to improve the game. We equally salute you. And those that were not able to join me, thank you very much equally for being honest and for just being there, and promising that next time you'll be here, and we'll hope that you'll be here next time. From me, Winston Maboro, good night and see you next time.
Good night.
Okay.